We'll start the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. There is a correction in new business on number 1. It should be resignation and bylaws. It's 2 items. So that's the only thing that I can see. I'd like you to look at the minutes from our April meeting, April 26th. See if there are any additions or corrections, and then I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Also move, Rock.
Motion by Rock, seconded by
I'll second it.
Mr. Kraus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to the Treasury Report. You did receive those? Usually can
Yep,
be-
and I would like to mention that a big change is that if you notice on the first page of the balance sheet, the CD number 2 has been removed because that has now been placed in our checking account.
Okay.
The amount was $12,975.51.
Okay.
And then I would like to read a note we got in the beginning of May. It says, after reading about the establishment of the Endowment Fund, Pam and Rock Managle's contribution inspired me. Please find enclosed a check for $1,000. I grew up in the Pulaski area, graduated from Pulaski High School in 1963, and attended St. Norbert College. In 1969, Frank Joswick hired me to teach at the Sobieski School. I am so grateful to have had a 30-year teaching career in the Pulaski district. Pam recruited me to volunteer at the museum. I have enjoyed doing that and hope to volunteer again when the museum opens. Please accept this contribution sent with my gratitude for all that Pulaski has meant to me. Sincerely, Mary Julia Drella. So if you notice on page 2, our endowment fund is now up to $8,250.
Pretty good.
Very nice growth.
Yes, yes.
And I'll get to that later.
Are there any other things then that you have on there, Maureen, with the finance?
No.
Okay. Are there any questions to the board members about any of the items? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial statement.
So moved. This is Roger.
Yes, okay. I have a approval by motion by Roger. I need a second.
I second it. Okay.
Okay, your name? I didn't pick that up.
Seconded by Ron Marashik.
Okay, seconded by Ron. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And- oh.
Motion carried.
No, I do have one more item to mention though on the report. We did receive a $200 donation from the Pulaski Lions Club that came in after the report was written. So that is not included in the report.
Okay, you did say the stuff about the endowment fund, and I probably will keep that on the agenda as we go because it's interesting to the board as what transpires with that. Sometimes we probably won't have any activity, but it seems to be working pretty nice, and I think the board should be informed of what's going on with that.
Okay, and I did receive the paperwork for the original incorporation papers. So what I did is I made a copy of it. I put it in plastic pages, and I will put a copy of it at the museum. And I will also put a copy in the treasurer's bins that I have here.
Now,
And
would there be a problem to have that right by our telephone book numbers? That'd be a good place, and anybody can look at it.
Wherever you think it should be, I'll drop it off with the other mail that I bring.
Okay.
And if anybody is interested in getting a copy, I can forward it to you if you would like. It's kind of interesting. John Wigman was one of the signers. John Wigman, Reverend Fulgence, and Marion Schrader.
you do have that you could send it to electronically to the
Yes.
members?
Yep.
Why, I think that you should send it to
Okay.
all the board members and the officers. So they
All
have
right.
a copy for their files. And then they
Okay.
can put it along with their bylaws and the original, kind of this one that I've been passing out in corporation and stuff, but you have the official one from the state, right?
Yes, I do. And I forwarded that to Vanguard and I still haven't gotten the response if they'll accept it or not, but they have no reason not to.
Is there a seal on it, a state seal on it?
Yep, there's a seal and the cover letter even states that they certify that the annexed copy has been compared by me with the record on file in the corporation section of the Division on Corporate and Consumer Services, and that the same is a true copy thereof and the whole of such record, and that I am the legal custodian of said record and that this certification is in due form.
That's about as legal as you can get.
I agree. So
Are there any other communications or comments that you have?
I have a couple things, Larry. I'm just gonna bring them up right now. So, and it's in the minutes too. So in the minutes, last month, we had Claudia asked to rescind the August 2018 minutes. I just want to discuss it. I don't think we need to put a formal motion out there or anything. I just, and I could go into it if there's any discussion. I can definitely go into my reasoning why, but I don't think it's been 2-3 years later. I don't believe we should even acknowledge rescinding minutes from 2018. And I guess, I certainly could go into it, but it's such a long time ago that if we start, and I did look back at the minutes, if we start to rescind those minutes, I just don't think the board members that were there at the time, we don't have a lot of the board members here that were there at the time. And I just, think that whatever was written in the notes at that time should just stay there. And I don't think we should rescind anything. But I would like to just, if anyone wants to discuss it, but I don't think unless we have, unless people, believe that we should rescind them.
I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Our minutes are very informal. It's an all volunteer organization, and it's not like upon a motion by, then discussion ensued, and so, moved to or seconded, and then we voted. It's a lot of time, it's just real informal. So I agree with you, Tammy. I think it's not appropriate for this kind of organization to have to get into technical details like that. So that's just my take on it. I think we'd be setting a precedent that would require us to have much more structured meetings, much more, it says we're supposed to follow Robert's Rules of Order. And I don't think we want to get into, having a parliamentarian rule on whether something was appropriate or not. So I think it's best that we just stay away from that. Keep it informal.
Are there any other comments?
No, I'd agree that I would not be in favor of rescinding minutes. As Pontius Pilate said, what's written is written. It's what we agreed at the time, and it was approved, and so be it.
Well, I think if there's any corrections or additions, they should be made in the next months, or just like we approved the last month's meeting minutes, and not certainly from 3 years ago.
I reviewed some of the emails from that time, and there were many times for that individual to ask for that to be changed, and it never occurred. So I would be in agreement. I don't think we should rescind those minutes. Their history, and like you said, 3 years ago, that's quite a while ago.
We're all about history.
Okay, and I don't think we need to make a formal motion on that. I think the discussion enough is good, right, Larry?
Yes, I would agree with that.
I have one other
Go ahead.
issue. So it's always been a process or privilege to provide keys to the board members. And I'm bringing this up because I need to get it out there. If we're all going to be following processes and procedures. There's one individual that does have keys to the museum that is not a board member. And on several occasions, I have mentioned to this individual that the key needs to be given back to the board. And I just think that if you're not on the board, the key can be available to you if you need to go there or do something. But I think the board members are privileged to have keys, to hold keys. And I think we need to get the key from this individual and, just follow the law, follow the process that we put out there. I don't think anyone should be privileged if they're not, on the board. And I'm putting it out there that I think we need to confront this individual and get the key back. And if we can't get the key back, we need to either change the locks. We need to do something because, we're all on the board of directors. If anything, were to be taken, I mean, people would come back to us. I'm feeling that we need to get that key back, and it's been a long time, and we need to do something about it.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah. And I'm more than happy to tell this person, but I don't know if this person is going to.
You could put it through this way. That person has to turn the key in. Otherwise, I'll call somebody in and I'll rekey it, and they'll get the bill for rekeying it. And they don't want to get that bill because it'll be a couple $100.
Did
Did
anybody
everybody
else-
see the email that
She did-
was sent from her saying that she will turn it in?
Yeah, I got
she
that.
sent one.
Okay,
And Noreen, I mean, I think I actually have a couple emails that she said she was going to give me the keys in the past. I have them sitting right here in my folder. So I think we just need maybe a formal letter and then maybe a follow-up phone call or something that goes out. I just think that we're a board member. We're responsible for that museum. If anything were to happen, it's us, right? I mean, we're responsible, and
She's planning to give it to Larry.
yeah, I know. But I just think we just need to put it out there. And I think I'd be happy to write a letter. I'd be happy to call her.
All right.
How about sending a certified letter, giving her 14 days to return it, or should be stuck with a bill for rekeying?
I think, I mean, I like that, Ed. It has to be documented.
Tammy, I would like to interject here. I agree wholeheartedly with Ed's suggestion. In fact, I was going to make that suggestion. There's no need for any of you or any of the board to be pressured or put into a position that we have to confront this individual. So why don't you just go ahead with a certified letter, a very nice letter thanking her for her services throughout the years, and take it from there. Of course, include in the letter Larry's suggestion that if the key is not returned, that the locks will be renewed or revised, and a bill will be sent to her. So, and in fact, I'll just make a motion that we take Ed's suggestion here, certified letter. I so move that we send a very appropriate certified letter to Claudia.
I'll
I'll
second
need-
it.
Okay, you have your second. All in favor?
I,
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go on to old business. Steve?
All right, well, regarding the website, I haven't been able to get much new content up. I have quite a bit of new content ready to post, but I wanted to make sure that I got the work done on the translation of Father Constantine's thesis. Mike Brzezinski did a fantastic job of translating it. And then he got me the translated copy, and there were lots of punctuation errors from the Google Translate and lots of word order problems that I corrected. So I got that finished. I'm hoping to be able to get the balance to get that posted. I've also scanned quite a few of the photos from the Joe Hummel box. I just finished 96 group photos from ABVM confirmations, first communions, graduations. So I'm trying to figure out just how to deal with that on the website. But anyway, lots of behind the scenes work. My thoughts now are that I would like to start writing a series of canned posts ready to put up on the Facebook group, so that I don't have to do too much thought. I can just go and highlight something that's up on the website and just stick a post out there on a regular basis. So I could show you the usage reports. If you want to, let's see, share screen. That's down at the bottom somewhere, isn't it?
yep.
Let's see. Chat, share. Is that it, Tammy Green?
Yep, that's it. Go ahead.
Plus, okay. So share screen. Are you seeing my screen now?
Not yet.
Share screen. Oh, I see. It's looking at my, well, somewhere I have,
There you go. It's,
all right.
it's,
I had it open in, well, okay, let's just get this, another copy open. All right, so there's the April overview, which shows that we had average per day, 43 visitors per day. The session duration was exceptionally long.
Steve,
And
I don't think we're seeing what you're talking about yet. Can you open that PDF up?
You are screen sharing. Well, I have it open. I'm not clear why it's not sharing.
We can see your desktop.
You can't see can you see that? Can you see it now?
No, we just see all of your PDFs on there.
Sawmill report, that's what we're seeing.
I'm sorry, you're seeing,
The Sawmill report, we're seeing all of your entries.
I just double clicked on it to open it, and it's covering my my screen. So, well,
That was something.
I don't know. It's not. There's Sawmill reports. We might have to move on here because. Well, let me just explain what's going on. I think that initially we were seeing people opening it up and leaving it open because there's an hour and a half average session time. So that tells me that somebody must be just opening it up in their browser and letting it sit there. That was in April. The most recent report that I pulled for up to the 24th of May showed a 34-minute average session time and about the same 44 sessions per day. So still, that's a long time, you know, for people to be on that site. So that's a good thing. I wanted to see if there was a spike in usage after I posted on the Facebook Friends page. And it seemed that there was, but I wasn't able to follow up with more posts. So
Do you know what day you posted that, Steve? Just curious, because I might have it.
no, I don't know exactly.
Okay, there was a spike on the analytics on our website, so I don't, I'll share that in a minute, but maybe that was the same day you posted it. I don't know.
That could be, because I watched it quite closely after I posted it and I saw that there was an immediate spike. So it was effective to post. So I have lots of things that I'd like to, you know, talk about, like check out this particular aspect. Like there were some things in the Angelica, Memories of Old Angelica, that would make for a real interesting post. Did you know that, you know, that this happened in Angelica? Or in Father Constantine's thesis, did you know that one of the pastors of Krakow was left under death threats because he was against the brewing of alcohol during Prohibition, and he was speaking out against anti-clerical writings in the Polish Courier. You know, there's things like that can be like tantalizing facts that can drive people to the website. I'm thinking too that some of the photos that were in the Joe Hummel collection, if I can figure out how to get those up in a timely manner with a minimum of effort and still preserve a lot of the work I've done is trying to identify them and date them, that would be worthwhile too. So lots of work to do, lots of progress too. I wish I had better news on what's happening with the State Historical Society. They claim that the last email I got said that they had located 6 reels of the microfilm and brought them into their lab, and they were proceeding with scanning. And I sent back to them saying, great, I will guarantee that we're going to pay for all of it when you get it. Just let me know when, and I'd like to start fundraising with having something on the website. But he hasn't been, it's been slow.
Good job, Steve.
Good work, Steve.
Thank you.
Very much.
You must live on that computer. Okay, the next thing would be websites, Tammy, and you're probably gonna talk about just a little bit of the stuff that he pulled up.
Yeah, let's see, can I share my screen now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can.
Let's see, there you go.
Let's see here. Okay.
Mine showed that I was still sharing, and there was a red stop share button. I don't know why it didn't work.
Yeah, we could see like the top of your desktop. It was just weird. We could see all the PDFs, but we couldn't see the open one that you said you had. That's kind of weird.
It was highlighted, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just a couple things here. Can you guys see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So 498 searches on Google. I think last time, I think Maria put it in the minutes here, 419 searches. So this is a month. And then Steve, there was a spike. Total views was 609, but there was a spike around May 14th.
May 14th.
Yeah. So I don't know if that wasn't is when you did that. We could look back and see.
The one he had highlighted was May 24.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that's today.
That's today.
Well, then there was one May 9th, May 10th. Right here too. Visits to website. So I would say, you know, maybe there was a May 14th and a May 10th that we had some spikes. So we could go back and look at, you put that on Facebook, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just see here. I can tell you right away.
Friday, 14th of May.
What did you say, Larry?
That would be a Friday, the 14th of May.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting. That might be, I called like 6 or 7 people about that old Angelica because they had relatives in our cemetery. Maybe some of that was them.
Okay, May 16th. Okay, Steve Karch did something. Oh, I know what it might have been. That might have been History on the Move. This has, I think, been canceled.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
I was kind of hoping that was coming through here.
Yep, they're having a hard time getting, but I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like they were going to cancel it because they were having a hard time getting people to actually do this. Not in Pulaski, but the people to actually, you know, ride the horses. So we're getting verification on that through the village. So I think that's what that was, you guys. That spike on the 14th was that. And then I don't think there was anything on May 10th. So that's what it was. But we do get, when you guys post, you know, Steve, and when you guys post on there, it does get engagement. So keep doing it, because whatever you're doing it helps. So the other thing I was going to share with you is our analytics. And so you can see here, Pulaski businesses are getting some page views. The home page this is your home page right here, 246 on the home page, 279 on Pulaski businesses. The history page, 121. The galleries, a little bit more. The Franciscan community, this was I think this was a blog or an article. And then it kind of goes down family, Marashik Brothers honored for playing polka music. That was a blog. And just to give you, you know, a little idea of what they're viewing, average time on the page is 2 minutes, 7 seconds, which actually is a lot. 30 seconds is pretty average. And let's just see here. Oh, I'm going to go to overview. Number of sessions per person, 1.15 sessions. So they're coming back. We have 552 users and 500 new users, 552 new users and 560 users. So we get new visitors all the time. So, but we also have a lot of returning visitors, which is good. And I'm gonna hit on demographics here, overview. We'll look at the age. Look at that, 65 plus. Going on the web and searching is the highest percentage of people searching. So isn't that interesting? Male or female? Mostly, what was it? Mostly male?
Yeah.
No, mostly female. 76 female, 59 male. So isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
Anyways,
Tammy, can I just interrupt here once?
mhm.
You had just brought up the, Stephen had the cheese factory in Anston.
Yes, Kunish.
Oh,
Oh, that
I'm,
was Kunish or Anston?
That was Kunish.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that was Harry Mitz's house, but I'm not sure if that was it or not.
oh,
Remember Harry, we were used to take down.
and he had the cheese factory,
I
yeah.
thought that was a cheese factory also,
Mm-hmm.
but that was Anston, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one clearly the photo says Kunish.
Okay, well, it sure looks like his building though.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
used to go
still-
visit him
still
and it
there.
used to be like 100 upstairs all the time. It was so freaking hot.
And it's still there, so we could actually go and look. I know where it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice
We
to
wanted to
see if,
compare it. Mhm.
in case they got the photo wrong, but I think the newspaper clippings that I included, they mentioned Kunish, not Anston.
Okay, yeah, okay. But
I think that calls for a road trip.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
where in Coonish would it have been? That building is gone, right?
My mom was saying where Northern Engraving
Okay.
is,
Okay.
on the corner there.
Oh.
okay.
On
I
the
have to look, because I didn't find anything on the plot maps, but I don't know if I have the right years for the plot maps, because it doesn't seem like he was in business for very long there, maybe 10 years.
As on the, what would be the northeast corner, there was a tavern that was Kitty's Tap, and that was there for, probably, now that wouldn't have been a cheese factory because it didn't look like a cheese factory. So it could have been at where engraving is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know how long engraving's been there, quite a while.
Yeah,
The bar's name was the Kit Kat.
Right, right. That's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
the newspaper articles for his obituary said that he bought a farm in Shawano County in 1919. So I think that's when he stopped, but that doesn't mean the cheese factory stopped operating. That's just when he stopped.
Well, what it could have been, engraving could have bought that chunk, and that cheese factory was on the corner, and then when it became available, engraving could have bought it, like a lot of businesses. When a property next to you becomes available, they buy it, because it helps their operation, and that could have been, they could have been side by side for a while.
Mhm.
Anything else on the website, Tammy?
Nope. That's it.
Okay, the next one, Rock.
Okay. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. That's not easy sometimes. But anyway, first of all, I did send out that email, and hopefully everybody got it and read it, so they've got a better idea of what's all going on back there. But I'll try to go briefly. The back door project, which is the concrete deal, we have contracted Brent Blazer, and he's scheduled for the second week of July, weather permitting. That means between now and then, because he's backed up, and if they have rain, it's going to push everything down the line some. But anyway, we're in his schedule, and that's the main thing. And Larry has ordered the door. I'm not sure where we're at with that yet, Larry, but you've got that covered.
Right, I'll take care of that.
Yep, and I've got an electrician to remove the exit sign and some of that other conduit that's hanging around there so we can knock that wall out. But we will need to move a few things that are inside of the building because they might be in the way. The other project that we've got going is the siding, the steel siding, which we decided by, and we now, I do or I have engaged our committee. So I'm not doing this by myself. So we've got a good crew that we're all in on this thing. We were planning on doing some repair of the block walls because of the mortar being missing. And we had a bid as much as 13,000, I believe 500, that was take care of that chinking project. But we, rather than spending that money on that, we would still be in need of some type of sealant over the top of that, which would have been another expense, and probably down the road some more. But anyway, I reached out to a couple different companies that do steel siding, and we came up with a bid of $13,420 to insulate and sheet with steel the whole building, all four sides, for a couple $100 less than replacing the mortar. The bid includes doing the east, or I should say, additional things beyond this bid that our committee looked at that we probably need to address, and probably is not going to be an excessive extra expenditure, but we'll have to see when that comes time. But anyway, we can go with what we've got to start with anyway. But we are going to give the east wall, that's the one that faces Assumption, for you people that aren't aware of the four directions, north, south, east, and west. The east wall and the north wall, we're going to do what's called a wainscot look, which means that we're going to change the bottom approximately 4 feet of steel to a different color. It kind of breaks it up because those are pretty good sized walls. They're the east wall is 16 feet tall. The front wall is different. All we're doing, because we can't do anything with the wall, we're going to cover up the shingles with some steel and then go right up through that parapet and tie it into the rubber roof. And this wainscot look just gives a break in it, so it's not the same color from top to bottom. It breaks it up and makes it look a lot nicer, and it's more appealing. And it shouldn't be that much different. It's still steel, it's just a different color. And it'll be a little extra labor, but I don't think it's going to be outrageous anyway. But one of the deals is that we have the numbers that we're working with here. If we go with what we've got with both of those projects and the money that we have available for both projects, inside and outside, if we spend that money, we would have $13,500 of extra money wiggle room that we could share if we needed it between the two projects. Because we've already have 10,000 earmarked for the inside, but we're guessing it might be more, but this is still a pool of money that we can use to do what we need to do. Maybe not so much what we'd like to do, but what we need to do. So anyway, at this point, I would like to move forward with this project, both of them. Well, we've already voted the concrete one in, so we're good with that. But now we're taking part of that one of the bids from the first concrete project away, but we're inserting this one using that about the same amount of money to do the whole project. And for those of you that are questioning a second bid, it was so far away, it was pretty close to laughable. If you want to know the numbers, the bid we think that, or that we are going to go with, or we'd like to, is 13,420, and the other bid was for 38,000 plus. You know, there's a big difference. One of the reasons that it's that much less is that I engaged the Amish people, and they, as we found out when we did the ceiling upstairs, that was about a third of what the original bid was. When I got the Amish people that come in, they only charged us a third of what the other bid that I had. So they do work for less money, but we're still comparing apples to apples. It's the same technology, the same materials. There is one small difference, and that is the thickness of the insulation. The larger bid was 1.5 inches, and the one that we're going to go with is 1 inch. But whatever insulation we've added is a lot more than what we've got now, which is nothing upstairs. The downstairs is insulated. The upstairs isn't.
What's the reputation of the Amish people that you have?
They're Amish.
I mean, I've heard good things, Amish, and then I heard some bad things that have happened. So just
I talked to your dad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brock, there's on Pulaski Street, there's 4 Amish gentlemen putting up siding on a house. Are those they had a trailer backed in the driveway and there was not a unit hooked up to the trailer. So you don't know if those are the boys that are gonna.
Where are they?
On Pulaski Street, like across from, past the fires, past the rescue squad, more out of town.
Across the street from there?
No, the same side as the
Inside?
rescue.
Oh, I'll go down there and check it out, because these are the Brauntragers.
Yeah,
I don't know who's there, but
the trailer was backed in. I couldn't see a name on the trailer. I don't know what it was.
oh,
For those of you that get our Wisconsin, this guy's related to the Amish gentleman that writes the diary every month that it comes out.
the Yoder.
Yoder.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, Dennis Brauntrager, the guy I'm working with, married that Yoder's youngest sister.
Rock, did the Amish put on Noreen's mother's
Yes.
middle?
No, that was a Seymour
Oh,
deal.
Right. Rock, what color would you be going on the bottom part?
The bottom would be chocolate brown. The upper and all the trim would be chocolate brown, but most of it would be a light sand color.
Oh, okay.
We've got to go with brown because the whole front is
Right,
brown, and that's not going to ever change.
right. Yep.
Any other questions?
We don't need Larry, do we need a motion to go with this or what's the deal?
I would think
First of all,
so.
do we have any questions from the board about it? Because we would like to proceed with it to get on schedule, and if we need a motion, I'm sure Rock would give that motion, because you have to get on their timetable, otherwise, and of course, they did give him a proposal, so it's not like a piece of paper. They already had the terms on it and everything, because Ron and I seen it. So it's actually a contract, and for us to, all we have to do is sign it and give them a check. What is it for? What, 6,000 or 4,000?
The first one, The first one is, come on. I got so
I
much
thought it
stuff here.
4 or 6.
It's here. It's 4,026.
So
dollars.
that would give us a contract, and of course, then we would be on their schedule, and we
Right.
don't know what their schedule is.
Right.
You know, I know materials getting hard to get too. And the next thing is if we're going to do it, we might as well get online with it, because if we wait another month or two, everything will go up and that bid probably wouldn't be any good.
Yeah, it's a 30-day
Yeah.
bid.
Well, if your committee is you guys are in agreement and you guys are recommending that we go with these guys, and I know Rock, you'll probably be there every day hounding them. So I'm not too worried about it. But I make a motion that that we go with this organization, whoever it is here, and get the contract signed to get on the agenda for them to start doing it in July.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have one question, and this would be to Steve, Mike, and the other Steve. On that back wall, there is a little shelf, and on it, I think, is a little, I don't know, something with the
The
computer.
router.
A
It's a
router?
router.
Could
I
we
believe it's a
get
router.
that located in that office to get it out of there? Do you think that's a big deal? I don't know why it ended up there. I know it's kind of hanging there, and either that or we'll have to do something with a shelf, because we're gonna want to move away from that doorway. They're gonna be pounding and stuff on it, and I want to protect it. Right now, I think I got a makeshift hanger holding that shelf up.
Larry? I
Yes.
think it's there likely because that's where Insight put it when they brought the service in.
Okay,
So we have to kind of look at what comes into the building and what it would take to extend that. Don't know off the top of my head.
now,
So
is that because of the telephone or of the computers?
that's the internet access.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be in our time. I don't believe they had internet access before we had the
Definitely
museum.
not. No, Insight would
think
have brought that in.
Yeah, I think I was there when they put it in. And I know you can move that stuff around. We just gotta, so you want it off that wall or?
Well, can it be there, or is it okay if it's there, or should we move it into the office? Then it's out of the way.
Well, it's where it comes into the building on like where that box, there must be a gray box somewhere.
Well, I didn't see it. All it is a little router on it. I looked
Right.
for a box.
But the reason they put it where it is probably the best location for it coming into the building. Otherwise, we might have to pay for moving it and adding cables, longer
Or
cables,
do the wiring ourselves.
or do the wiring ourselves.
Usually the interior wiring these days, that's the customer's responsibility.
But why don't you guys look at it and see?
Yeah, Mike and I can probably look at it, see what.
Relocated. Now, I know there's, like on my house, there's a gray box outside.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen one there unless, usually it's near the electrical service, and I haven't seen one there, so.
So maybe there's enough wires. I know where it is. Yeah, if you guys want to look at it, or Dad, you too, because you're good at
Well,
wires.
There would
They have the
definitely
wires
be,
and the tools for that.
Yeah.
Well,
I pulled wiring from there to supply internet access
Oh,
to
yeah.
multiple locations. And those would definitely have to be redone in order to move that, the access point. So we'd have to take an assessment and take some measurements and look at just what would be necessary to do.
Well,
It can be moved, but just how much work it's going to be, we can't say without looking at it.
and if you decide that you want to keep it there, let me know, because then I'll make a nicer shelf so it protects it a little bit. It's just hanging on a little shelf, and I've seen it dangling by the wire at one time. That's why I looked at that shelf. So I'm kind of, one of you guys look at it, or all of you look at it and see, should we move it? And if not, if it stays there, that's fine. But in the next couple of weeks, I'd like to know whether we should. That's
At the
all.
very least, it needs a stronger shelf.
Right, and that's what I want. If you're gonna move it, I wouldn't make a shelf, but if it's gonna stay there, I'd make a shelf that's decent and make it a little bigger in case you wanna put more stuff on top of it, you know, for expansion. Okay, the next thing is brick sales. How
Hey,
we
I
do-
sold one today. So
Good
we're up
girl.
to 9.
Okay,
I'm gonna call Joel at Van Germer and see if I can sweet talk him into engraving 9.
yeah, you
And we'll
probably.
get those 9 done, because come summer, we need to put the 18 plus the 9, be 27 bricks we have to put up. So,
And
I'll see
rock
how
is-
that goes.
And Rock is working with some people to help us get that brick where it belongs on the wall. Am I right?
Right. I got 2 young bucks. They can do it.
All right, the next thing is the newsletter. How are we doing on that, Tammy?
Good. I would say if anyone has anything to me, have it to me by late next week.
Any other comments? And otherwise, I'll be going into new business. Like I said, there is a correction. It's resignation and bylaws, and Tammy's going to take that portion over.
Okay, Larry, I do have one more comment.
Yep.
And I should have brought this up before, but we got a request from the American Association for State and Local History for a possible donation because of the pandemic. Their funds are down. We've never donated to them. We do belong to them, and every August we do send $98 to be a member of them. So I'm just asking if you think this is something we need to donate to.
What are they asking for?
Well, they sent a letter just because of the pandemic. They're not asking, well, the card shows 500, 300, 150 or other. But I don't know if this is
If we
something.
were, I think we'd be using the other. And the reason is, if you start to give, you gotta watch where you give. And if you give too much, then you're setting a standard. And I guess they'd be happy if they got a couple bucks from us, but I guess it's up to the board. And Chris knows quite a bit about some of these, so I guess I'd ask for his input on some of that.
Well, they've helped us with some grants in the past. And I don't know, I guess if I had to give money, I'd say 50 bucks.
There you have the answer.
Who is this to, Noreen?
The American Association for State and Local History.
Yeah, I think we've gotten money from them twice.
Right.
Right.
Hold that up again, Noreen.
Sure.
How would you like that for a name? Oh no, I thought it said ASS. Okay,
Oh, no.
never mind.
Shame on me.
Tammy.
That's why I had her hold it back.
This is being
Good one.
recorded. This
I
is
know.
being recorded.
I know it is. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I'll go
Good
ahead
thing
with
you
the
brought it up.
$50 payment.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that okay? And then the other thing I just wanted to mention is we did lose a member. Marge Bluma passed away last week, in case you hadn't seen that.
Would you kind of, Noreen, say what happens when you watch what we do, or when a member of our society, what do we usually do? so that the
But when-
board knows that we recognize them.
Oh, yeah, I always send them a sympathy, I send the family a sympathy card when any member that I see passes away. So if any of you notice one, just send me an email just to make sure I'm aware of it. Because I think it's a nice gesture that we do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go, anything else? Otherwise we'll go back to Tammy. You have
Okay,
the-
well, now that you mentioned about the sympathy card, do you send do you send a thank you card to Mary Drella?
Oh, yes, I wrote a letter to Mary.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yes, yep.
Mary Drella has also helped out
Oh,
at
good.
at that one museum or place in
Hazelwood.
Hazelwood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she's a member of the Polish Society as well.
Yeah, she's part of that group.
Is it,
I didn't even know
Polish
that.
Heritage Society.
She's friends with those Polish people that you know.
Yeah. I can't,
didn't she teach Polish in the
she could
Well,
have.
she took
Yeah,
a
she
the
was.
class.
schools? I think she did.
She took a class that Gosha was teaching.
Yes, she took a class. I don't know that she taught Polish. She probably knows some,
I-
but she's very
No,
strong.
she knows a lot of
advocate.
Polish. And I
Yeah.
think she taught at St. Norbert's,
Mary Drella?
Mary or Gosha?
Gosha.
Mary.
Because Gosha did too.
OSHA
I don't
did.
know if Mary did.
Mary took the class, Gosha's class at St.
Yeah.
Norbert.
Okay.
Mary was one of the first people to buy a bunch of bricks from me. I think she bought 3. She's very supportive of our group.
Said in
Steve-
her letter that you read earlier that she taught at Sobieski.
Yep, she taught, I taught with her at that 1-room schoolhouse or 3-room schoolhouse. And then she went to Sunnyside and then to Fairview and she ended up at the middle school. She's taught here all her life.
as long as you guys are still a little bit on communications, I picked up the Polish Heritage Society, the newest newspaper, and I'm going to drop some off at the museum. But if anybody has any places that we could deliver some of these, like Steve Karch, we're going to try and get some to his little Polish place where he gets his Polish
Yes.
things. But anyways, and I'm gonna go with them. We're gonna make it a road trip. But if you guys have any place that we could deliver these to, come get them from Dynamic Designs. I'll leave some up front on the counter and feel
No.
free to take them.
Mary Drella, I think, took over some of these because John Mahalko used to do them in the area. And then when he
Yeah.
couldn't do it, I think Mary
Did some.
started
I don't
doing
think
some of them.
she's
So
done
she may be a contact person.
Yeah, I haven't seen her, but do you guys have her number? Well,
do.
Noreen, you must have her number.
Pam
I
does.
do.
Yep.
Pam, can you shoot that over to me? Because I'll touch base with her. I don't think she takes the newspapers anymore.
And I
think
don't think
John-
she brings them out here.
No, I think John was doing that. And, but anyways, she got more printed this time. So we're looking for places.
Where in
deliver.
Pulaski do you take them now? Because John used to go all over. But with COVID, how many places can you get into?
Yeah, so I mean, I always go to drops them off at the coffee shop and then like the laundromat. I don't think you can get in the offices, the doctor's offices. I don't know if they
Right.
want that there anymore.
I haven't seen anything, but they used to have.
Didn't,
How about the Pulaski Pharmacy?
That
And
would
I
be a
think the library,
Oh, the library I always do. Mhm.
okay.
how about Superons?
Super-Ons is good.
That was one place that John dropped them off.
I don't know if this
Michelle
place
and-
would want to, but maybe the refinery. I know a lot of people go in there and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
downtown Pulaski. They're
bet
they're
they-
very nice people. They're very friendly.
You know, somebody else where you could just leave a few might be at Doug Prentice State Farm. He might be willing.
Moravas,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
they would be more than willing.
yes, yes.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. I got quite a few of them here, so I'll get them out. I'll drop some off at the museum. So if you guys, feel free to take them. Feel free
How
to come.
often is that, how often is that paper published? Every month or every quarter?
I think it's
Every
like,
other month.
okay, June and July is on this one. So the next one is like August, September.
Every other
Bi-monthly.
month.
So is it like 6 times a year?
6 times a year, yeah.
Yeah,
Bi-monthly.
yeah.
Or every other month.
And actually it's a nice new, I actually read it and it's nice. So
Oh, Tammy,
they got some good,
it is really good.
it is really
It is, yeah.
good. Yeah, when you take the time to read it, it is really good. So
Steve, where do you get your Polish things?
Okay, Steve, tell us.
JB Deli in Nisita.
Oh,
Right on
So
54.
It's a neat
Yep.
place.
I want to go. I've never even heard of it.
Oh, you should. Road
When's
trip.
your road
Yeah.
trip?
another road trip.
we'll pick you up.
Yes. I'm serious though. I'm not kidding.
We're
I
serious.
want to come. Okay,
We're
good.
serious about it too.
Good. Let me know. I want to come. I
Okay.
haven't been on a road trip in
100
over a
miles?
year and a half. So
There's actually another one
Ready.
in Wisconsin Dells. So we're thinking about hitting both of them in the same day.
oh, fun. Wow,
Let's
it really
just
is
be
a road
drinking
trip.
Water.
Go to
Mhm.
Southside Milwaukee, you'll find a lot of Polish delis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not willing to take that plunge yet.
This one is really cute though, Maria.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about
Ooh, I
100
like-
miles or so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's about that.
Okay.
It's a good journey though.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it.
Cool.
So we're done now, Larry.
You're next.
Oh,
And
okay. All right. So I hope I have the right one up here, Chris and Steve Pep. I'm just going to share my screen because I can't remember if I grabbed this right one. You guys can tell me.
that
Okay.
looks like the one I got.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yep, same here.
Okay. All right, so the bylaws committee met and we reviewed the bylaws and we sent this to you guys with the hope that we can add this as a amendment. Is that what you would call it? Okay. And so when there was nothing in there before about resignation, so we actually pulled it into 3 parts. The resignation says here, when a board member fails to complete serving their term for whatever reason and decides to resign, the resigning board member must, number 1, provide a written resignation letter to the board of directors. And that's very similar to what Steve did when he resigned and just became the curator. So he provided us a letter. We felt that we needed to have some documentation. Number 2, the letter of resignation must indicate why the board member is resigning, whether it might be, due to health issues or whatever it might be. And then 3rd, the board of directors can accept or reject the resignation, but must vote on the resignation. If the board of directors accepts the resignation, they can determine whether to replace the individual before the next annual board meeting. Sometimes you're so close to the end that you don't need to replace someone. And then it says the board of directors may appoint a new board member to fill the vacancy and serve out the remainder of the official term. The second item was removal. And the board of directors, I'm reading it here, the board of directors shall also have the authority to remove any board member who may consistently violate board policies, undermine decisions and made and authorized by a motion duly passed at a board meeting, or misses over 50% of the board meetings in a calendar year. We felt that was important, that if a board member doesn't make the meetings, that they may be asked to terminate the board. And then item C, future board elections. an individual who resigns from the board of directors may opt to run again in the future. We just felt that was appropriate because we felt that maybe we had, the wrong information, not necessarily the wrong information, but we may have been misled when Claudia, when she wanted to run again, and we felt that she should be able to, and it doesn't say anything anywhere in our bylaws that, a person who opts to leave the board can't run again. So we wanted to make it, very visible that anybody that does resign from the board may opt to run again in the future. And so we put this recommendation together, and we're hoping just to hopefully get a motion to accept these and put these into the bylaws. And I have the girls at Dynamic Designs, when they have time, to help me with putting the bylaws up. And then we're going to provide everybody with a copy of with the bylaws added, because we have a whole bunch of amendments and things in these bylaws, and we're just putting them all together where they need to be. So everyone has a nice hard copy of it. We'll put it on the website. Anyways, I guess Chris or Steve, you guys really helped put this together. If you want to say a few words too about it.
I just would like to tell the board that this isn't really an amendment or a change to the existing bylaws. It's just an addition really to what was already there. So we're really not changing anything. We're just adding on some items that we thought would make things more clear going forward in the future.
Yeah, you're right. None of this was there before. And a lot of the bylaws, I mean, I looked into some of the bylaws that I have with some of my organizations, even, missing so many meetings is, I mean, we really need to make sure that, like you said, we make it clear to the board members and to everyone,
Chris, is it usually the directors they can accept or reject the resignation? Is that usually the way it is?
I guess we just borrowed that from some other bylaws that we read online. I mean,
Okay.
I guess if a person really wants to leave, you can reject it, but I don't know. Maybe.
Well, and we talked about, there's some board of directors that are actually paid and are maybe more structured, like Steve Poplinski was saying, that maybe that would be more appropriate but I guess you don't have to accept a resignation.
Right.
I guess it just gives more flexibility.
There could be situations, not necessarily with our board, but with other boards, there certainly are, where the director might be involved in critical projects, and they might have a duty to continue. And in such a case, then the board would legitimately want to reject a resignation. But for us, if they stop showing up, they're gone. So, it's kind of dotting the i's, crossing the t's to say they submitted the letter of resignation. We accepted it. Everything's fine. So we move on. Kind of a loose end if we would not accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about the board policies. Is there something in writing with the board members have a written policy, or if they violate it, they're out?
I think that's the bylaws, essentially. I don't know if we have a policy document. Does anyone know?
No, there's no policy document. I think that in our edition, we kind of made that clear. If somebody's, bucking the whole board and you know, there's things that are passed by the board and they're against them continuously, then obviously they're not fitting in. And then the board can vote to remove that person if it gets really out of hand. It's in the, I think, what, the second point on our our addition to the bylaws.
Right, if we pass a motion and then the person works contrary to that motion, or if we have a particular policy and they're going around talking, you know, telling people in the community it's a bad policy and that the board's crazy, they shouldn't be doing it. Those are the kinds of things that would give us cause to remove someone.
Yeah, it just basically says here, any board member who consistently violates board policies, undermines decisions made and authorized by motion duly passed at a board meeting. I mean, that kind of sums it up right there.
Okay.
Anybody else? Pam, Rock, what do you guys, thoughts on this?
I'm good with the addition.
Yeah,
I make a motion that we adopt the amendment.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next thing on is nominating committee. In the past, we've always had a nominating committee. In fact, I looked at the bylaws and we haven't had one. Chris and I had discussion this afternoon and he said Peggy Wolfram used to be, and I remember because she asked me if I wanted to be a board member. And the president always kind of held the election, and I would like to shed that responsibility to a nominating committee. And I guess up this year, if I'm correct, is Steve Pulaski, Roger, and Pam's terms are up. And I guess I can ask you for this committee whether or not you would like to be on the board of directors or have your name on the ballot.
I'll be a director.
Okay, how about Roger? Did he take off?
Yes,
Would you like to be continue to be a board director?
yes, Larry, thank you.
And Steve?
I'm willing to continue.
Okay, so could I get a couple people to nominate? I'd like to, that would like to nominate themselves. I'd like about 3 people. And what your duties would be, and of course you would be doing like I just did, asking the board of directors that are coming off whether they would continue. And then you would do like a little bit of advertising. Now in our bylaws, it says we have to do our soliciting for prospective persons at our annual meeting. Well, we don't have an annual meeting, and I was wondering if there would be some way that we could have an election by paper ballot and send out to our members. And I guess I'm trying to get, because of Zoom, and that's how we're going to have our annual meeting, kind of have this set so we don't have to wait till the annual meeting, and then we're going to end up with an election anyway. And that usually is in October, and our first meeting in November, which is around the end of the month, is when we start to invite our new board of directors, but also we pick our officers. So if we were to have an election, would we just do it on Zoom? And would that be adequate enough where you could have somebody stand up and say, I would like to nominate so-and-so to be on the board of directors? And if you have more than one person, like more than 3 persons, we would then have to have an election. We've been lucky in the past. Those board of directors have been noted, and we never had an election. I think probably 7 years ago, Noreen, that we had an election.
It's been a while.
And
It's
I'll
been a
tell
while.
you, it takes some time because you have to pass out the ballots, you have to have the election. This is going on while we're having our annual meeting. And then you have to collect all these ballots and you have to count them. And it's time consuming, and I guess if we can do it on Zoom, I have no problem with it, but should have a slate of people that would be on the ballot.
So Larry, the Shawano Historical Society mails all their, last year they mailed, actually every year, they mail a ballot out ahead of time. And you have to get it back by a certain time.
But we have to look in our bylaws. It says at our annual meeting. Am I right, Chris?
Well, I just think that, as part of Robert's rules at the annual meeting, the president says, do we have any other nominations from the floor? You have to repeat that statement 3 times. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with mailing a ballot out early, but it should have the 3 candidates plus somebody, if somebody at the annual meeting wants to run, then they could be a write-in candidate, and they should have that option. So I think you can't have it done before the annual meeting. I think it's got to be part of the annual meeting, and we can send, like I said earlier, we can send the ballots out, but they should have an open space in case somebody wants to run and is not on the ballot. And then the vote should be counted at the Zoom meeting. Like say for instance, if I'm on the nominating committee, people could either email me how they want to vote, or they could text me, or they could make a phone call or whatever. And I was at another organization and they did it that way and it worked just fine. I mean, it's weird because you're not really there like you would be at a regular in-person meeting, but it's still, like I said, I think you have to follow Robert's rules and still accept nominations from the floor in case somebody does want to run.
The Green Bay Antiquarian, they sent out the directors' names, and there was a blank to write in, but if you're the only one writing in, you're not going to get voted in anyway because you're the only person that did it. And actually, all they asked was the membership to approve the directors they had appointed already. So
I still think there should be an election right at the annual meeting, and people can call in. If it's going to be through Zoom, then the people just would call in to one person on the nominating committee, or call a couple people, give out a couple names on the nominating committee, and then the nominating committee would count the votes and then announce it at the meeting.
I'm looking for some people to nominate or will nominate themselves for that committee.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the 3 people that nominate, agree to run again.
Okay. But I would like to have a nominating committee also.
Oh.
Yeah. So they can take care of that portion of it.
Yeah, I'll be on that committee.
I could do it. This is Steve.
Do we have another one? Another person? How about Pam?
No.
No.
I had too much going on. I can't handle all this. But can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can.
Have we made a final commitment that we are not going to have a dinner meeting?
Well, they're already in the stages of how they're going to do it, right, Tammy and Steve? Okay.
Well, I mean, I think you guys said we at the time we should proceed with doing it virtually, but we doesn't matter to us right at this point.
Tammy, if I may I interject, please? I would say this is based on what Chris mentioned about the meeting and the procedures. First of all, your newsletter is coming out, so I think we should make a decision about this in the next week or so you can put it in the newsletter. Secondly, let's have an annual meeting, but it doesn't have to be a banquet or a meal. It can be a regular meeting with some snacks furnished by the museum, and who's interested to come. And,
I agree.
And that way, it would be kind of more fair for everyone if you're interested in running or being a part. And that way we can update the public too, what's going on. Some people really don't go on the computer and, the board gets the newsletters, or I should say, our monthly meetings. But the average member doesn't really know what's going on. So I would say in the next week or so, let's decide, possibly even tonight, if we're going to have that meeting. And it does not have to be a fundraiser or in that respect. It can be just simple snacks or something and get the people together.
Roger, you took the words right out of my mouth. I agree
Well,
with that.
Thank you, Pam.
Well,
So,
let's decide that now. Because 2 weeks, you probably know already what you'd like to do, and I think we should decide that right now, so she has that for the newsletter.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna throw this out there too, because not that I even want to think about doing it, but it probably wouldn't be that bad. We could do a hybrid too, where you would have a meeting in person, and we could also set the computer up, and we could have people watch from their home or wherever. It could be a Zoom link too. So we could actually kind of do both. And, I mean, we've done it with the Polish, the cooking class and some of these other things, and I do it in some of my other organizations, but we could offer at least the Zoom link, or we could do it Facebook Live and just, set the camera up so people could at least see what's going on, because people from far away really enjoyed that. And if we have a video to showcase with our secret, things that we're going to showcase, then I think that would be a benefit to everyone. So if people couldn't come, they could still watch it via Zoom.
Yeah.
And
You're saying, Tammy, then that they wouldn't be able to vote, though. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not exactly saying that. I don't know how, the votes.
I
First
think
of
they
all,
should be allowed to vote. If they're virtual and they're at the meeting, they should be allowed to vote.
yeah, there's a chat, and so they could easily vote.
Okay.
But the thing of it is, I mean, my thing is, you have everybody that is a member has one vote or whatever. How do you keep track of all of that? That's my question. Like, how do you keep track of how do I know there isn't two people that aren't really, I mean, I don't know.
Well, they just have to tell who they are. I mean,
Yeah.
Noreen has a list of members.
Noreen's got the list.
They're
Yeah.
on Zoom, you can see them, or that they're there.
Yeah.
Who are you? And
Yeah. So if we're good with that, I mean, I'm good with putting up a Zoom too, at, a Zoom link. They could join virtually or whatever, or join us in person. We could have a hybrid model.
yeah, I think like last year on the Zoom meeting, I mean, how many people were really on there? Like 27?
Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit more than that, Chris, because there was, I think a little bit more than that. But yeah, I mean, there was people from far away.
If you're doing a vote, it wouldn't be, 27 people is not that overwhelming. You should be able to get a handle on that for the voting part.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to do both.
Would you still have like a home base where you'd have to have a place where people could come in person also?
yes.
Yeah, hybrid. Mhm.
So then where would you do that? Would we have to rent a hall, or could we do that at the museum?
Well, you can't do it at the museum if we're going to be in the renovation period.
Well, that's the next thing I'm bringing up. There's a lot of things. So we would have to get a place.
Well, we could kind of go back to the old way, rent out the American Legion.
And what if you only got 3 people coming there?
Well, how about the cobblestone, like when you did the cahoots thing? Did they charge you for that?
No, they did not charge us. But I mean, we could, Chris, but again, what if we get 100 people? I don't know, would that be, I don't know.
I would think you have all of our board members. I would think you'd get about 30 for sure.
Mhm.
And I think these people by that, I think you should look at it for October like we did, or September. Gives us time to plan. By then, they're gonna know something's going on. And that way you can explain it to them in person. They can walk around and look at it on the outside if they want to. Clarify all that kind of stuff. I think it's time to get back to some normalcy again. And forget the food. I
Right.
think Roger's right. Put some pretzels out. Probably should have some liquor. They like the bar, but don't do any like fundraising with pies and all that kind of stuff. Just make it a simple meeting to begin with now. My other group does that meeting at the American Legion. It's a nice place. Sometimes we get 25, sometimes we get 45. You
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
American Legion would give you flexibility because you could easily get 100 in there if you
Yeah.
had that kind of a turnout.
Right.
And then you've got the museum close by too, which is always nice.
Right. Yep.
We need
So
a
that
place that
would
has
be
internet access.
Third Wednesday, would we have it on a Wednesday like we normally have?
Why not?
Well, then Noreen has to make a call to the Legion, see if that date's available.
Okay, October 20th would be the third Wednesday.
Yep.
All right, I will give them a call tomorrow.
Okay, let me know, Noreen, and then
Okay,
if you guys are open to that, we'll just say it will be in person and virtual. We'll do a hybrid, and I'll
I
put
think
that
it's a
in.
great idea.
Yep,
Yep.
sounds good.
Good.
Okay, the next thing, with this renovation and stuff, are we gonna have a display at all for Polka Days? It's probably gonna be around the time we're gonna start tearing that place apart. That's when the door will be started, if it works out well, and Maria will probably be itching to do some work inside. So actually, within the next month or two, the museum is gonna kind of be closed for being under construction, if I'm reading this right.
Is that when you're gonna start?
Well, we gotta start pretty soon. Well, they're gonna do the back door in July.
Right.
That siding, let's figure that's gonna be in July, sure, that's on the outside.
What about the inside? Well, that's up with Maria's coming up.
Well, that's what she's gonna let us know, and if we make some decision on it, we're gonna wanna start on it as soon as we can. Because if you look on number 5, a year from November is gonna be our 50th anniversary, and I'm sure we're gonna wanna do something for the 50th anniversary, and that's November of 2022. I think it would be nice to have that completed at that time, and I mean, it gives Maria enough time frame to hopefully that we can get all this stuff done. So maybe we'll just go into number 4, and Maria could kind of give us some light as to where she is or where we should be. Okay, Maria?
Yep. Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from contractors. I think my timing was horrible because it's the beginning of summer and everyone's exceptionally busy. So I was supposed to meet with Mr. Santee on Wednesday, but he's too busy now to come and look. So he asked if I could take pictures of the museum, give him like the floor layout, and basically tell him what I want, and then based on that, he'll quote it. So I'll tell him about the cracks in the floor and it's not quite square and it's uneven and all that stuff, and get that to him by the end of this week. So I'll have that. But other than that, I tried contacting Steve Fisher 4 times now and haven't heard anything. And then contacted like his protege called Clutch Contracting, and he hasn't gotten back to me either. So I'm kind of at a standstill in terms of that. So I talked to Steve Karch, and hopefully we're meeting tomorrow, right, Steve?
Where did he take off?
He's there. He's on mute. He's trying to turn himself
I'm
off.
unmuting.
There you go.
Okay, so we had a little bit of a COVID scare at work today. So 2 of our staff went to North Carolina. Both guys have been vaccinated, but their contact at the plant in North Carolina tested positive today. So, and one of the 2 gentlemen actually was sick this weekend. So now the big fear is that the rest of us might have been infected with something. So I'm going to stop for tomorrow.
Sure.
And we're going to see how this plays out in the next couple days.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to reschedule next week.
Okay.
Steve,
So-
did
Well,
you-
we said like every week or every other week. So I'll let you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I asked Steve if, since we're at a standstill with the construction, I was like, okay, well, what can I do now? What I can do is start cleaning out the museum, because that needs to be done before anything else can be done. So me and Steve said that either every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, we're going to go to the museum and spend a couple hours and start going through things, getting rid of things that we don't necessarily need or want, running things through the accessions so that everything is accounted for. So we might be learning the Past Perfect software together so that we can, I mean, two people at it is a lot faster than one, I'd assume. So yeah, we'll be starting to clean things out and go through things. So if anyone wants to come, I
What
can
time
send
on,
an email.
what
Yeah.
time on Tuesdays would it be?
I'll probably try and be there around 6:30 because I get off work at like 5 and then eat.
Could you just email us and let us
Yeah,
know when you'll be there? And
absolutely.
if I can, I'll
Yep.
be there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can send out an email every time
Good.
I
we're gonna be
think
there.
that-
And
After hearing the discussions tonight, I think one of the priorities that we're going to look at is the back door along with the front storeroom of the little office area. Obviously, if we're going to be working near the back doors, we should probably move all those objects
Yeah.
away and get them so that they can't be damaged during the construction. So
We,
the yearbooks,
we earmarked the annuals, with the cabinet with the annuals, that much on either side of the door. And then we're gonna put up some plastic up against the ceiling to the floor and create a little cubicle around that back door because he's gonna be cutting the concrete. So we're aware of that, and we're gonna have to move those annuals and put them someplace. I thought if you just took that cabinet and put it parallel to the piano, so people still could get to the annuals, and you could sneak in back of it if you wanted to get by the piano.
okay. Yeah, those are the things we're going to look at. So we were also looking at some of the display walls and some of the other projects that we want to work on. And construction materials are incredibly expensive right now.
Yeah,
A half-inch sheet of plywood, you're looking at no less than $6. So
OSB is up, I heard $50-some a sheet,
yeah.
so.
And again, we want to try to make these as light as possible. I've given Maria some recommendations on the casters, because again, anything that we work on, that be it a display case or one of these movable wall sections, we want to make sure that our volunteers can use them. So people aren't going to be bending over to work caster breaks or locks. The cabinets aren't going to be these heavy things that'll be hard to move around. So we're looking at different options as far as material composition and the design.
And one of the doors, the one that's probably in the war room, I would like to save that, and I would be using that in that back entry when I close off that area of the stairwell, so that I would have access into that portion under the stairwell. So I would be taking that whole jamb and door out of there. You're planning on taking them walls out anyway. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
so I would be recycling that door, and I will take that door out when it comes to it. You know, when you say, okay, we're going with the project, I will take that door out myself.
Okay.
That I can reuse it.
Okay.
Larry, I have a question for you. At what point do you think we'll be needing a storage unit or a trailer to start removing stuff from the museum so the renovation can continue? Or would this take place when first the carpeting and the ceiling would be refurnished? Or
I guess that's gonna be up to Maria when she's gonna say, we're in it, we're working on it. We
Yeah,
need,
I don't know how long it's gonna take to clear all the stuff out and
okay.
so that'll be-
But it won't be necessary just to replace that door, is that correct?
right now, we wouldn't need any storage for the back door project, no, that would.
Okay,
Yeah, no, there would be no need for that, not at that. That can keep going on, you know. And even if I were to put that temporary wall up after that concrete is poured for that stairwell, I just leave the rough opening. The door can still stay there till I need it.
okay,
There would be no demolition till, once we start demolition, we're gonna stay on it. It's not gonna be started in go for 3-4 months, because that project's got to move right along. We can't leave that museum vacant for a year. I'm telling you that. So it's going to depend on, and as far as those bids with those contractors, Maria, you're going through the same process that Rock and I went through 3 years ago. We've been waiting 3 years to get some numbers, so I'm not surprised if you ever hear anything from them guys. So
yeah.
don't let that even bother you. If we're gonna go with the project, we'll go with the project and make decisions that will fit for us. And really,
Well, I mean, we could always go with the carpet tiling too. I
we
mean,
don't need the contractors. If we decide to go
Yeah,
with
exactly.
carpet tile, we don't need them.
Exactly. So I mean, if it gets too far out where we're like, okay, we don't want to wait anymore,
Oh, yeah.
we have that, So we'll see if I can harass them further.
Well, like even the guy we have for the door, he told Rock, keep pestering me, even though I'm going to do the job. So that's it. The next thing is roof inspection. Usually we get Gary Van Lannen, and I guess is Gary still doing any work?
I really don't know if he's fully retired or not, but I can ask.
Yes, if he would, and what I would like him to do, since we took the hot water heater out, there's a penetration from a chimney into that rubber roof up on that southwest corner. I think we should either cap that to make sure it don't leak or remove it. And and I'm too old to go up on that roof. I used to go up there with him, so I would like a younger member to go up that ladder with him and then take a look. It's always been pretty good. Last time he didn't charge us. He did a little caulking and a little patching, and he never charged us for it. He says that's his contribution. So if he's doing it, otherwise, I don't think there is a problem. It's been like 2 years since we do it, but I always like to make sure that we're good with the roof. And if we do the siding, that building should be good for a couple of years, and when we enclose it, I would think it would be pretty decent, and we wouldn't have no problem.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, ask him if he can do an inspection, and I mean, I can be there to open it up for him, but I think we need a young person to go up there to kind of represent us,
Yep.
and we can make arrangements for that.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, the next thing, and it doesn't have to be done like tomorrow, within next month or something's fine with it. The next thing would be Steve Garch.
The curator's report.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I am continuing my research on the shrines. I did get information from Claudia, some old newspaper clippings. I also got some photos from the members of the Borowski family that gave us a couple items last month. So Nicholas Borowski was the one that actually built the shrines. He was the stonemason. He also built the house that is on St. Augustine Street, the brick house itself. And I think he might have built a couple more farmhouses in the area. And I kind of want to take a little afternoon and maybe go around Huffa Park and Pulaski and look for maybe more of his work. So that's where that's going. Hopefully Tammy and I can get together within the next month and do a video and a write-up on the shrines. We kind of want to keep the momentum going from the videos. So we thought that that would be a good thing. All right, next item, the Chronicles Arrived. So these were the, I believe there's 12 volumes to the Chronicle, and they were published by the Franciscans. And they were essentially newsletters, pretty much telling about the state of the province itself. It essentially is, they discuss everything from the daily going-ons within the monastery, the history of the monastery. What I really liked about it is I have several ancestors that were Franciscans, and it tells where they were assigned. One of the things I'm going to read to you guys is a small little story from the Chronicle. It's a couple paragraphs, but I'm just going to read you the major points here. So in April of 1887, Bishop Katzer came to Pulaski on the 27th of April. So he was there to bless the cornerstone. So here's the story. His Excellency the Bishop accepted the invitation of the Franciscan Fathers to bless the cornerstone of their new church and to implore God's abundant blessings upon the sons of St. Francis. He had traveled by way to Seymour, Laney, and then Angelica, where there was cut through the woods. So far, so good. A team of horses could be used. For about 2 miles east of Angelica, however, a team of oxen had to be drawn, a primitive farm wagon on the broad wheels. About a half mile from the Tri-County corner in the village of Pulaski, even the oxen could proceed no further. Then the farmers prepared a rude sedan chair and carried the bishop on their shoulders. As they drew near the site of the church, one carrier suddenly sank into the mud and the other could not pull out his long boots, and the bishop nearly tumbled down into the quagmire. Some sturdy bystander, however, jumped forward in time to hold the bishop in safety on the sedan chair. Several others joined him and slowly brought His Excellency forward to the dry ground, the location of the cornerstone. The rest of the ceremony went off smoothly. So those are the types of stories that are in the Chronicle, which I think is an amazing little contribution to the history of the Franciscans. They talk quite a bit about the you can actually see how the monastery grew and even how the province grew and the order itself. They start out with obviously Pulaski, Huffa Park, then they're moving on to like Lake Geneva, Cedarburg, the Philippines. Father Regis is mentioned. There are a bunch of other the church fathers that are mentioned. So there's lots of really good photos too. So I think these would go really well with a lot of the Joe Hummel photos that we have that we haven't been able to identify of the church fathers. So that's the Chronicle. So I've been going through those books and reading them. They're an interesting find. So the other things, we're taking in more donations. Within the last month, we received 4 more Black Pulaski news volumes for 4 years that we didn't have. So I thought that was really cool. We received several good books on Polish genealogy. The Borowski family gave me some more photos of the family and even the Goskas. So, and they also gave me another Pulaski State Bank. It's more of an Art Deco bank, not the Liberty Bell that we have in the displays. So we did get the grant from the Green Bay and De Pere Antiquarian Society for the restoration of the Polish American uniform. So we have $200 to work with, but I've been assured that they will fully take care of any runovers with the cost. And so they think it's a really good project and they want to fully fund it, but we don't know what the exact cost is going to be at the moment because I still have to send out quotes to a professional restorer. So they have given me contacts with the with the Neville. And then from there, there are contacts in Milwaukee, in Madison, there's a Veterans Museum. So they think that they can help. There's several groups. They also want the uniform to be put in a display case or behind some sort of protective glass or acrylic so that people don't touch it. So I think that's something we can make. When me and or Maria and I were talking about display cases, I'd mentioned a steel extrusion called 8020, which is used in manufacturing, but I have seen it used in museum pieces. So that's something that I'm looking into, the design of those. So let's see here. And yes, going through the items in the spare office and working on the project with the remodeling. And so, oh, and one last thing, another project I was asked to work on, the Legion is posted in Pulaski, is turning 100. It actually turned 100 this last month, but nobody realized that it was turning 100 this month. So they're going to have the centennial meeting in June. The thing that they asked of me was to try to locate descendants of the 15 men that signed the original charter. So I was able to locate 2 descendants. So hopefully I can locate 4 more. That would be 6 of the 15. I think that would be a good start. And so that's what I've been working on. So any questions?
You got room on your plate?
Huh?
You got room on that plate?
No, Pam keeps me pretty busy.
Okay. Good job.
Steve, can you bring one of those Chronicles in when we
Yes.
start cleaning? Because I'd like to see one. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I most definitely can. Like I said, right now I'm just going through them, reading them, and it's very interesting to see just how much of love they had for their religion and how many families were really devoted. And so, and the important thing about the Franciscans in Pulaski is they specifically tailored themselves to be a Polish American order. So half the Chronicles in Polish. So you'll find a lot of, it's either Polish, Latin, or English. So yeah, it's a lot to take in. But again, the Chronicles cover from 1943 to 1962, but then they have lots of older stories because when one of the brothers would die or one of the prominent priests would die, they would actually tell the story of where they went to grade school, where they went to high school, when they joined the order, all these things. So, and again, one of my ancestors was Father Lawrence Karch, and I'm able to tell, okay, he was in Saginaw, Michigan, he was in Connecticut, he was in all these places in the Northeast. And it's interesting to be able to, before that, he was just a name, and then a name became a photo, and then now it's actually, he wrote papers. They would have their annual conventions, and he would talk about the difficulties of missionary work. And so, again, I think they're really wonderful additions to our collection on the Franciscans. And even the things about they talk about Father Regis taking a truck to Madison to pick up printing presses and bring them back to the printery. So those little things are really fun to read.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If they say anything about the cemetery where the brothers are buried, I'd like to
Yes.
hear about that.
Yeah, they actually talk about, because I have another cousin, Kevin Schroeder. And Kevin, he was a brother, and he actually helped build like a picnic ground in the woods behind the retreat. So they talk about what they did, to build this, how they laid out sand, and they first cleared out all the brush, and then they laid down sand, and they must have put like the Stations of the Cross leading out there. And so things you wouldn't normally know because they were a closed community.
Right.
But the books, shed light on the works of these men. And so,
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
And
great.
there's lots of Polish names. There's so many Polish last names. And these were men that were coming from Toledo, Ohio, Chicago, even from local areas, Green Bay, and just how interconnected the province was. And I know Steve has mentioned in the past in his talks about the turmoil of the early days and some of the disagreements that the brothers had with the new leadership that came in, and how Brother Augustine was treated, and the book covers some of that stuff. So again, I find that fascinating. And so, and even they one of the more interesting ones as a designer, they actually had the layout of ABVM, like the first floor plan that the designers submitted in the early 1950s. And it's nothing like how they actually did the school. So that's another one that I wanted to share with everybody. I'll probably just try to scan that in and post it on the Facebook page.
Great.
So,
Oh, that's awesome.
mhm.
Any
I have
other?
one question for Steve.
Go ahead.
Steve, are you doing that work on the shrines? Did you know there's one in Sobieski as well?
I did not know that there was one. Do you know how old it is?
Well, it's not as old as the original. The original rotted away and they replaced it with a cross, but it's still in the same place.
Where is it located?
Well, it's on Cross Road, south of S. If
Okay.
you come in on S and you go south, Cross Road is the first road in Sobieski. And you go south and you go across the river. First intersection you come to is Allen Road, and it's right on the corner there.
Yeah, I
I'll
know
have to
exactly
take a
what
look
you're
for
talking
it.
about.
That I did not know that one, but I will definitely check
Road
that
trip.
one out too. No, more road trips. But again, it's very fascinating. Again, when you start looking at the history of those shrines, the shrines were actually something that came from the old country because they're all over the place in Poland, and so the idea was that you had to visit Rome during the holy years if you were a Catholic living in Europe, and that was waived for you if you lived far away from Rome. So they built the shrines the following years, but you had to make pilgrimages to the shrines. That was the European tradition. But I think some of that carried over here because they wanted to replicate the countryside and speak to their religious devotion.
Hey, Steve, this weekend I was at a meeting with the Polish, what was it? The Polish Congress.
Polish American Congress.
Yeah, and they were talking about shrines and pilgrimages, and they have a few professors on there that I think might be, there's one lady that's heading this up, and I don't know if there was some in Stevens Point that she was talking about.
Yes.
But she was talking about this project she's working on, and she's a professor, and I think I can get her name and information, and I think she would be a great resource too.
Good.
So I'll get you that.
Yeah, there's when you do internet searches on roadside shrines in Wisconsin, you get Stevens Point. And so there was a large community of Polish Americans that moved there. And you look at some of the families like the Kurowskis, they had members that actually moved from Pulaski to Stevens Point and probably back here again. So it's interesting when you start looking at that back and forth. Even I believe like the Sisters of St. Joseph That's where they're located out of, is Stevens Point, and
Yes,
they were
are.
involved with the churches in Huffle Park.
Well, early in the history of the parish, when the first priests came, they had no means of support here, so they were assigned to Polonia, and they commuted to Polonia, which I don't know exactly where that is. It's by Stevens Point. Do you know exactly where that is?
No, I don't, but
East of
it
Stevens
mentions
Point.
it in the Chronicle.
Right.
Yeah, it may not exist anymore. Maybe it's a
It's
little,
on,
Oh, it's
oh
there.
yeah, it's on 66.
okay. So, yes, there's a strong connection between Pulaski and the Stevens Point area.
Any other comments?
I just have one, and it's directed at Chris. Chris, have you heard anything about the road rally in August?
No, I talked to the lady, she's in O'Connor, that was heading it up. And since our last meeting, no, I've not been in touch with her.
Okay,
Why do you ask?
so I was just wondering if you were going to be participating, or if you have heard anything. It's been a couple weeks since I've heard anything from her. We have secured the venue at Mountain Bay Trail.
Okay,
At the Bar and Grill, to use their facility because we're right next to the trail. So Tammy's going to be out, but I did find another volunteer that's going to help out that day. So we're good, I think, so far. I mean, we're still organizing the activities and the questions and things, but I think we're good.
okay, I can certainly reach out to her.
Yeah, again, she's been really good at getting back to me whenever the board comes up with a decision, but I didn't know if they had sent out materials yet, or, you know, where that had gone.
Nothing since the last meeting, so it's a good idea
Okay.
to reach out to her and get back in touch.
Yeah, all right, I can do that.
It's in August, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, nice haircut.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I was gonna mention that to you the other day.
Got rid of all that stuff.
Actually, I think he got them all cut.
Yeah,
I think so.
Must
the
have been
mullets
bad.
are coming back, they said. The mullet haircut's coming back.
Yeah.
They're
They
gonna-
are.
Yep. Any other comments by anybody? Otherwise, yep,
Are you winding up the meeting, Larry?
yes, we are.
Okay, I'd like to have a few comments from the board members in regards to the cement mixer that was donated by Mike Bohoviak, correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
It's in front of the museum. And I'll make this comment that I think it doesn't really give the museum any curbside appeal because it's pretty well rusted up in a relic. Makes it a little difficult cutting grass, but that really isn't the issue. I think just the fact that it's an item that's not really refurbished, and it's rusty, and just takes away from the museum. Any comments from any board members that agree with that, or think we should remove it? I don't want to offend the Bohoviak family. Mike was very instrumental in promoting the museum in many ways, and it's a thought, but
That's
I'd
a
appreciate
homemade-
any.
That's a homemade cement mixer. That was
Okay.
made by two brothers, I want to say, out that way, because Mike told me who they were. They wanted to build a silo and they couldn't afford to pay somebody, so they came up, and that's a homemade cement mixer. Is it a problem cutting around it, or?
Well, it attracts bees.
Yeah,
It's just not eye appealing, Larry. It takes away from the front of the museum, my opinion. The other pieces of equipment I think are appropriate. They're standing in an area where it doesn't take away from the main entrance. And if anybody wants to interject any comments, please do so. Otherwise, I'll leave well enough alone.
Well,
Just-
Roger, this is Steve. I agree with you that it does not add curb appeal. It seems like it's constantly sinking in and tilting, and it looks like somebody's done a nice job of stabilizing it, but I don't think it adds too much. Yes, it does have a little bit of a pedigree, but I don't think it's very attractive.
So you're just thinking about throwing it out, Raj? I mean,
Well,
there's a lot of old stuff
I suppose maybe,
we don't just throw you out, right? I mean,
no,
I'm just,
I'm not really rusted up yet, though.
well, no, I didn't say that, but I mean, I'm just, maybe you feel that way, but I don't know, maybe it has, maybe there is a place for it. Maybe the old barn, the stone barn would want it if you don't think it, I don't think it would be neat if there was some information, like Larry just told us, the cement mixer was made by two guys. I mean, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. It'd be nice to have maybe a little.
It's homemade, yeah.
Well, does it have local history, Larry?
Yeah.
I want to say Vingens were the ones that built it.
Okay.
I had that in my head too. I think when we got it, that was the story, that there was a Bingen involved.
Yeah, two Vingen brothers wanted to build a silo, but they couldn't afford to, so they made their own cement mixer, which is the same type of it's like a bulk mixer. Robotics used to have one. They bring the gravel and the sand and the cement, and they would mix the cement right on the site. I mean, it's antiquated now, and this was homemade. If you really look at it, them boys knew what they were doing, because there's a lot of mechanical stuff into that machine. I hate to see it throw away. I know it's not the best looking thing.
Well, I do like Tammy's suggestion. Possibly the stone barn would be willing to display it.
Well, you got a guy that's representative of the stone barn, is Chris. He can tell you right now.
The stone barn is trying to concentrate on things just from the town of Chase, because we get requests. I don't want to say, at least once a month somebody wants to drop something off. Well, you got to kind of put up a boundary and say, okay, was it made in the, was it here used in the town of Chase? No. Well, then that's kind of a strike against it. So I mean, I don't think the Vengeance were from Chase. I think they were from Pittsfield?
Pulaski, yeah.
Anything like that's homemade, I mean, that's kind of unique. And, I remember my story in our family, my Uncle John, got in the gravel crushing business. He made his first crusher by himself. He went to the high school to talk to the math teachers to come up with the gearing ratio.
Right.
So these guys are really, it's not like today where everything's, you get it online and it's brought right to your doorstep. A lot of stuff they just made on their own. So that's kind of a neat story. I mean, maybe we can move it from where it is and put it off to the side, or I don't know. I'd hate to get rid of something like that.
Are there some Vingens living yet?
Quite a few.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we wouldn't contact, he could relate some history on that, and we could write up an article about it. At least we'd have some reference for it. And like Chris says, let's put it on some blocks so it's easy enough to for Roger to mow the lawn, and maybe we can do something to seal it off so no bees build in it and stuff like that, and just keep it. I mean, it's not hurting us. I mean, we didn't have the village come by and say, hey, you got to get that wreck off the lawn, and it is history. And if you look at it, for a person to build that, they've got to know their stuff. They probably did go to the school and found a ratio on all of that stuff, because it's interesting. I mean, it takes something to build it. You didn't.
Well, thank you, thank you all for interjecting your comments. And I think let's pursue that. Then let's try and make it a more attractive display. And in time, we'll figure something out to reposition it by the museum or leave it where it is and just give it, get it up on some appropriate slab of cement or something to that nature. So it looks like it's meant to be there.
I bicycle around the countryside and there's a lot of old farming machinery that's displayed to good effect. Just the other Saturday, I was going down County Highway E, just north of Sobieski. And there's a new display and it's all old farm equipment that's been painted in sort of pastel colors. That was quite striking. I think the key is to have it cleaned up a little bit and have a little plaque or some story there that when people go by it, their attention is drawn to it, and not just have an old machine kind of grown up in the weeds with bees nesting in it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that very much.
Hey, Roger.
What about,
Well, go ahead, Ed. Go
what
ahead.
about the town of Pittsfield? Would they be interested in it?
Boy,
Next,
they got a new
nice
town hall out
I
there.
don't think
but
that would go over real well, but you could.
Well,
I was gonna say, Roger, I know somebody that's got a bee, that you can put a bee thing over your head and
oh,
in case you
okay.
get too close.
Well, I'll say,
Charlotte.
Mr. Kraus, you are friends with Mr. Denise, Keith, correct?
Yep.
But would you get in contact with him, see if Pittsfield want that by their new village hall there? Or?
We were friends.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of your input. I appreciate it, and we'll get it resolved.
Any other comments?
Yeah. Well, if she puts it in this.
Our next meeting will be June 28th. We'll be on Zoom. I need a motion to adjourn.
I
Can
so
we
moved.
meet, can we meet live? Can we meet live instead of Zoom?
Where are we gonna meet?
In the museum. We can check to see if we can get into the,
We're gonna be under
basement.
Check
construction. Won't we be under construction there? Or moving stuff around?
Yeah, it's possible.
We,
by
If-
this month.
What
June?
about
Yeah,
Pace?
We'll check.
I don't know if the school is gonna allow people coming in there.
Well, let's plan it to Zoom then, and maybe we can change it and just send a message out later.
Right,
Otherwise, we'll plan it.
okay, it's Zoom, June 28th. I need a motion to adjourn.
I so
So
moved.
moved.
One by Chris, and who's the second one?
Steve,
I'll second.
Steve Karch, right?
No, Peplinsky, I can't vote, remember?
Oh, that's right, you're just a place, you're a fixture.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Steve, all in favor,
Hi.
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Good night,
Nice.
Good night,
everybody.
Thanks, Larry.
you bet.
Thanks, Larry.
See you around the next time.
Yep.
Okay.